The committee now will hear from Specialist Full.
Chairman, ranking members, and members of the subcommittee, thank you for allowing me to share my firsthand account of my experiences serving in Afghanistan. One of the first things I noticed about Bergdahl when he arrived at our unit, he was always asking questions. He seemed focused. He was well-read, intelligent, blended in as he needed to be, always at the right place, right time, right uniform. In November, our unit deployed to National Training Center to train for our upcoming deployment to Afghanistan. During this time, myself, nor anybody I've spoken with, can remember Bergdahl walking off the base and abandoning his team. This story seems to be repeated over and over again. I have no idea why. We would have at least heard about that or known it was happening. It did not happen. In March of 2009, our brigade deployed to Afghanistan, but Bergdahl did not make the deployment with us. He had gotten staph infection and would not make it until May 2009. Soon after arriving in Afghanistan, we were tasked with building an OP called Observation Post Mest. While there, we were on the front lines, digging holes for bunkers, filling sandbags, driving T-posts, hanging wire, all grueling tasks in themselves in 100-degree weather. Go ahead and add your equipment, and it's very tough. We were told we could take some items of clothing off to, keep us from having a heat stroke. Security was always set in place. Nobody was ever in jeopardy. This has been used against us, saying that we were a band of outlaws or misfits. It's not the case. Leaders were reprimanded for that from somebody higher up. We in the platoon felt that it was without merit. After arriving in Afghanistan, it didn't take long for Bergdahl to start voicing his disagreements with the way our missions were being led. He didn't understand why we were doing more humanitarian missions instead of hunting the Taliban. Our team leader and squad leader both told Bergdahl that those were our orders and we will follow them. Before we went out to OP Mess the day of June 30, 2009, about a week before, we were told this is the last time we would ever go out to this observation post. During this time, Bergdahl mailed his items home or to a family friend. He mailed them back to the States. We didn't know this until after we got back, after he deserted, and we found that his equipment had been mailed home. On the night of June 30th, or excuse me, the morning of June 30th, 100% accountability was held around 6 a.m. Everyone was good on the proper number of men and equipment except for 3rd Squad Alpha Team, which was my team and squad that Bergdahl was in. Platoon members immediately started searching the tiny observation post for missing items. We looked under cots, the latrine, under trucks, everywhere we could think. Bergdahl was nowhere to be found. In a single-man tent Bergdahl had been sleeping in, we found his gun, ammo, and plate carrier. Patrols were immediately kicked out to the surrounding areas to look for Bergdahl. According to some small children we spoke to, they had seen a single American matching Bergdahl's description crawling low on the ground through the reeds earlier in that day on their way to school. The story was also confirmed by a clergic and a teacher that saw the same thing. A few days later, we heard from our interpreter that the American that was walking around in the Afghan village looking for somebody that spoke English and water also wanted to seek out the Taliban. That was from the interpreter speaking it directly to us. After Bergdahl was found that he walked off, Dust 1 was called up. That is duty status and whereabouts unknown. Every asset in Afghanistan was pushed to his effort. After Bergdahl shipping his items home, local accounts have seen him crawling and asking for the Taliban. The false stories he's emailed his fathers and odd questions all helped us connect the dots later. But at the time of the unfolding events, it seemed like normal off-the-wall jargon common when the infantry is deployed. The facts tell me that Bergdahl desertion was premeditated. He had a plan and was trying to justify it in his head. How long he had planned this, I do not know, but it is clear to me that he had a plan and executed it. Countless people looked for him when he went missing, putting their own lives on the line for his. Combat is difficult. The only thing you can count on as combat is the commitment of your fellow American. Knowing that someone you needed to trust deserted you in war and did so on his own free will is the ultimate betrayal. Now that Bergdahl is back in the United States, an investigation needs to take place as to why he left us. All the documents, including the intelligence known on Bergdahl, now need to come to the public view. Americans need to also see the original investigation on Bergdahl's desertion. You should not be able to desert your fellow Americans without consequences. Bowe Bergdahl should not be characterized as having served with honor and distinction. Any armed service member who violates UCMJ gets punished. Bergdahl should not be an exception. If Bergdahl hadn't deserted us, then he would have never been held in captivity. In my opinion, Bowe Bergdahl needs to be charged with desertion, missing movement, disrespect towards superior commissioned officer, insubordinate conduct towards non-commissioned officer, failure to obey order or regulation, misbehavior before the enemy, and misconduct as prisoner. Thank you.